Hey guys, I'm glad you're here in Sober Church. My name's Adam, and if we haven't had a chance to meet one on one, I'm just thrilled to be here, and I'm totally open to meeting you one on one. I want to talk just briefly about how resistance has played such a pivotal part in my own sobriety and self evolution and spiritual awakening, and how resistant I was to getting sober in the beginning. It took years of metabolizing my own addictive tendencies and my own sort of waking up to the fact that I was chemically dependent and couldn't stop smoking weed and couldn't stop drinking. And like, do you have any more of what you're, of what? Because I'll have more. I could not stop that process. And I left claw marks on things getting sober because I was so resistant, just like rage resisting the consequences that were piling up around me as I was continuing to use and continuing to drink and drug. And it's interesting, like just because I got sober, that process of healing and internal resistance toward all sorts of things that were good for me, that didn't go away. Like after I got sober, I was in face to face with my identity, the character that I had built to navigate the world with all its flaws, with all its confusion and sense of victimization and self-imposed limitations. And if only my dad would have been it, if only my mom wouldn't have left, all that garbage was still a part of me after I got sober. So it took time to heal. And I remember just how resistance colored my life. I got sober in San Francisco, and I'd been kicked out of my home. Like they frown on you when you can't pay rent. Like, can you leave? You can't pay rent. We need. It's like one of the things of being an adult. It's like, oh, I got to pay. Anyway, and all of my, so I went into AA. I went into the 12 step. My entire network was like, hey man, you're homeless. You're like floating around couch surfing. Why don't you try sober living? And that internal resistance just welled up within me, just pouting and it's like a petulant child, like pitching a fit, like banging on my high chair, like, no, you don't know who I am, where I've been. I don't need sober living. Fast forward like a year later, and I'm riding my bicycle through San Francisco to live to interview for a sober living home. And and I remember just rage resisting, arguing over myself. I worked myself into an emotional frenzy about this process. So disappointed and angry and frustrated, but I was just like cannibalizing myself as I was like literally riding my bike down the street in traffic, just I'm not even present to what I was doing. I remember getting to the sober living home, and the ride was longer, of course, than I wanted to ride. It was further than I wanted to go. And of course, at the very end, there's this massive hill. If you know anything about San Francisco streets, there's been a lot of earthquakes that has reshaped the topography. The topography is very mountainous, hilly, and some of the hills are like angled straight. You're like, that's how are people driving up that? It was one of those hills up to this house, uh, and I had to get off and walk my bike, and I prided myself on being able to ride all the hills in San Francisco. And of course, I had to walk it, and it was just another like layer of like, how this is bullshit. I don't want to do this. And of course, through the resistance, staying on the path led to one of the best years of my life in the beginning of my sobriety. Living in that sober living house, it was so powerful. It was so like surrounded by individuals on the healing path, sober, and it took me through a year worth of sobriety, or actually maybe that was my 1.5 year. I don't think I got 2 years quite there, but it was a profound year. And so crazy how the thing that I resist persists I until I wake up. And then I was just talking with another one of my clients recently, and he was just talking about getting a job and how far he's got to travel. And I remember, my God, it came back to me when I was offered to coach soccer for the first time, to work with kids, and I had the same resistance to like, I don't want to make extra money because I don't want to drive. The gas is going to cost me. It's going to be, and then I'm going to drive up this on all these things. I even wrecked my car on the way, like raging out. It was instead of a bicycle, it was in my car, raging out, got into a wreck that, and through that bottleneck of resistance opened up this incredible world of deep, deep value. Coaching soccer, and I loved it, and I was amazing at it. 5.5 years later, right? I'm just like just this amazing coach, loved by these families, and it was one of the bright spots in my life in my walk of recovery and sobriety. It's just fascinating. I just want to share a little bit. Like if you're experiencing that resistance, that's normal and natural. Keep fucking going. Um, yeah. And I was writing a little blog earlier. I was just like, what? I was going to refer to that blog. What was that I said? Um, yeah, maybe resistance isn't a sign that something's wrong. Maybe it's a sign that something matters. And now it's like, I hope I'm gaining the process to accept the resistance when it comes as a signpost of like, all right, I feel the resistance. I'm going to move forward anyway. Stay sober today. Keep praying, keep meditating, keep at the practice. And I hope you keep at the practice. And I look forward to connecting with each of you. I send messages out on Sober Church all the time and respond. I'm happy to be a resource for you. And of course, I do one-on-one coaching if you want like an intense process that's going to be transformative. I do a 6-week program, and it's solid. So, yeah, if you haven't heard it yet today, you are loved, and thanks for joining us on Sober Church. Be well. That shakes the whole screen, doesn't it? Bye.